Hey everyone, and welcome to Two LPs in the Pod, the show where me and Andre pick two albums to review and discuss. This episode, we're going to be tackling live albums. But Andre, how have you been? What have you been up to?
Sorry, I'm cleaning my glasses, but I'm doing well otherwise.
Okay, well, as long as you can see straight, we'll be ready to rock. So I'm going to get the elephant in the room out of the way. This is a re-recording of the live albums episode. Unfortunately, we had technical difficulties when we recorded this several months ago, and we had to scrap the episode rather than launching it, which is always sad, but here we are again to discuss our choices for live albums. Andre, this was your pick. Did you know what you were going to pick right away, or do you like live albums in particular? What was your thought process here?
Man, I'm kind of like forgetting how we even arrived at this pick. I definitely don't think I had a selection ready immediately. Yeah, I don't honestly know. I don't honestly remember why we picked this topic. My apologies.
No, that's all right. Well, what are some of your honorable mentions before we get into the main topics here?
Yes, so we will be retreading some ground that you and I have discussed because we are re-recording, but that's, that is life. We will still make the best of it. I will keep in tune with the same two honorable mentions. I thought about adding some more, but I did not. But two live albums that are very near and dear to my heart. We were just talking about Alive 2007. I think in terms of especially electronic sets, I've never really heard an artist come close to doing what Daft Punk did on this album, where they basically you called it a mashup album. They blend different seemingly random songs from their discography together in just almost like a magical way. If I was hearing this live, man, I would just cry the whole time. I'd be freaking out. That's a great album.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good one. I listen to that with my wife every once in a while. She really likes it as well. It's a good CD to put on the stereo on a Friday when you're trying to get through that last work day of the week.
Oh, that's an interesting.
That's a good one.
An interesting usage for it. I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah. Also, Daft Punk is always good to work out to, and this album definitely fits the bill.
Random, but since you brought that up, like a fun icebreaker question is, what would your walk-up song be? If you were a baseball player. Harder, better, faster, stronger is that's a banger, and then it also just makes sense because you're an athlete. You're harder, better, faster, stronger.
That's good. I'm trying to think of a funny answer for this. I know I've thought about this before. What would my walk-up song be? I don't know. Dead air. I don't know. It'd probably be something by Van Halen,
Eruption
with the Devil or something.
Okay, that's cool too.
Yeah. So, or Jump. I know people think
Jump
is
crowd
kind of
pleasers
a cliched. Yeah, exactly. But I don't care. I think it's a great song. Here's another random thought for you. Overplayed songs and meme songs don't get that way by accident. It's because they're good, bad with rare exceptions, really bad songs don't become meme songs, and really bad songs don't get overplayed and cliched. You know what I mean?
I think so. It's a lot of music discourse. I think people like to hate on stuff just for the fun of it, unfortunately. But generally, especially if something is being used in a meme format or just overplayed, there's people that like it. That's why it's being overplayed.
Yeah, even the most memed song of all time, Rick Astley, "Never Gonna Give You Up," is a great song.
I think that's a special use case.
Well, it's definitely, the Rick roll is its own thing, but you couldn't do that with a crappy song is my point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It has to be fair. A song that kind of catches your ear. Same thing with Smash Mouth All-Star. It's the most meme song of all time, but it's a kick-ass catchy song. You know what I mean? So anyway, how did we get on that? We're talking live albums. Did you have another honorable mention?
I do have one more. We discussed it a little bit less at length, but Band of Gypsies, which is a group with Jimi Hendrix and his two of his friends that he never recorded studio work with, I don't think. So this is actually their only piece of recorded material. And if you look in different places, you might just find Band of Gypsies is like an album by Jimi Hendrix. But that's a great album. Jimmy is also an artist that is very near and dear to my heart. Well, did you have any thoughts on him?
I mean, I'm not in particular a fan of Jimi Hendrix. That's
at all.
I don't like. I mean, let me put it this way: I don't listen to him on purpose, but I'm not going to turn it off if it's on the radio or whatever. You know me. I'm not in particular a fan of music from the '60s. So
fair enough.
I lump him in with all that Woodstock generation stuff. I'm not really into it. So
jumping the gun a little bit. One thing I didn't really put together when we recorded last time is that a lot like Pink Floyd and you say music from the 60s, Carnegie Hall was released, in 61, right? So it's interesting that these two different not too different, but all these different musical moments and cultures are pretty close together in time, and also at this point 50, 60 years ago.
Yeah, it's true. I don't lump Judy Garland and Pink Floyd in the same.
They're 10 years apart, but Jimmy and Judy Garland are closer.
Yeah, but they have nothing to do with each other culturally. You know what I mean?
It's interesting that they existed in the same time,
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, but like any decade, you'll have different things going on.
For sure.
So I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm not into the boomer Woodstock, Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin.
Dad rock.
Yeah, I guess so. And no offense to if you do like it, it's just not my thing. So
fair enough.
So my favorite album is the Woodstock soundtrack. No, I'm just kidding.
I was like, you didn't say that last time.
Some of my honorable mentions for live albums, I actually have more, I have a bunch of DVDs of live concerts. So I don't know. I couldn't think of a lot of iconic live albums that I really am a fan of. There was one Ramones one that I had when I was younger called Ramones Alive. That was really good. The Nirvana official live album. I used to collect Nirvana bootlegs when I was younger, but they did put out.
You were a hardcore Nirvana fan, or you just have you had a lot of Nirvana CDs when I was at your place and you were giving your collection away.
Yeah, I had many bootlegs and some of them were really good, but they put out a live album called The Muddy Banks of the Wishkah, or From the Muddy Banks of the Wishkah. I don't remember the exact title, but that is not one concert. It's songs from across their career compiled into one live album. But that is pretty good. And definitely Daft Punk. I have never been really super into live albums. I might have mentioned when we first tried to record this, the Beach Boys Party album.
You did, yeah.
Because I think that's a weird kind of oddity when you talk about live albums, because it's a fake live album. So they recorded acoustic versions of a bunch of their songs and some cover versions, and then they dubbed in but a small crowd, like you were actually at a party, dubbed in people talking and cavorting over the music. And that's the Beach Boys Party album. And then there's this other band I like, a more modern band called Sloan, a band from Canada, that did the same thing, basically. It's called Recorded at a Sloan Party. And they just recorded a bunch of covers, and it's really good, but they also did the same thing. They dubbed in a bunch of crowd music and small talk, or crowd talking and chatter over the music, and it makes for a pretty convincing effect, but it's all studio magic. So
interesting. Very good. Those were the same honorable mentions you had before, but you just said that you don't like live albums as much. I thought you had come around on them.
It's not that I don't like them. I think I mentioned last time that I do like that sometimes you can hear the words a little bit. I said better and you were like, no, it's not better. But I was like, you can sometimes understand words differently if you don't quite grasp them on a studio recording.
Interesting.
I also like in a live album, there might be just different versions of the songs. They might do an acoustic version of a song that you've never heard before or something like that. So there are a lot of nuggets and pleasure that you can take out of a live album. But I once worked with a guy who loved the live albums. He used to prefer listening to live stuff more than studio stuff. And I never quite understood that, but I get the appeal, you know?
Okay. Well, yeah, they're definitely unique entries in an artist's discography. And I don't know how, randomly, I just thought of one more honorable mention that I'd like to shout out. It's S&M by Metallica. Do you know that album?
Yeah, the one with the orchestra.
Yes, I forget what is the exact orchestra they collaborated with, but it is Metallica. I think right after the Black Album. This just randomly came to me. I used to love this. Well, I still love Metallica, but I haven't listened to them as much. I used to love them when I was a child, and I thought this was like a fucking epic album. Let me just double check. So it's a live album. There's also a video, but it's just them performing. It's nothing fancy. They're with the San Francisco Symphony, and it's right after the Black Album. So arguably, they're at the peak of their career, and they're just playing songs from their discography with a symphony. It's awesome.
Yeah, that's cool. I should go and rewatch that one.
Same here.
But I never owned it. I don't own it. I have a bunch of Metallica CDs, but I don't have that on CD.
So. Oh, well, there you go.
Nice. Okay, well.
Clarification, it came out after Load and Reload, not after Black Album.
Oh, so it wasn't them at their peak.
I guess not, but so I don't remember that. It's a double album. I mostly remember them playing, the classics, like Master of Puppets. Oh, they play Fuel. Okay. Memory Remains. Yeah, okay. Yeah, this does deserve a re-listen.
I do remember that being a big deal when it came out. I remember there being a bunch of commercials from it, and they made some music videos from it that they used to play on MTV all the time.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
So, yeah. Cool. Well, you ready to jump in the album number 1?
Did you have any follow-ups from our previous episode? I think that's kind of a tradition we lost that I would like to bring back.
Good call out. Our previous episode was the metal episode. The only follow-up I have is that I still listen to Koi no Yokon a lot. And
nice.
My friend Corey, who I talked to during the day, he's a former coworker of mine, but a good friend, and we still message each other during the day. And he said, hey man, if you could recommend one Deftones song to get into the band, what would it be?
Oh,
and
that's
I was
a
like,
question.
Really? I said,
oh, did he ask you that just out of nowhere?
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh,
and
wow.
he was like, because I think he knew we did the episode, but maybe he didn't listen to it, but he knows I like Deftones. So he asked me that question, and I said, listen to Swerve City, the first track on Koi no Yokon, and you will be compelled to listen to the rest of the album, and you will become a Deftones fan.
That's an interesting, my strategy, I would still go with the classic My Own Summer Shove It, just because it's such a good song on its own. But I like the strategy. You're like the gamesmanship you're employing, because it's the first song, so he'll want to listen to the rest of the album.
Yeah, and as we talked in our previous episode, that's such a good opener. It's so catchy. The guitar part is so bouncy and cool. And he loved it. He said, wow, the song kicks ass. And I was like, I told you. So.
Nice.
But yeah, I don't think I have any other follow-ups. Do you?
So I actually listened to a couple of the metal bands that you highlighted. I listened to The Real Thing by Faith No More.
God, don't break my heart. What did you think of it?
I wasn't that crazy about it, unfortunately. This was my first Faith No More listen. Why is this like your favorite album by them?
It is, but I have a lot of nostalgia for it. I could see where your modern ears wouldn't appreciate it as much as I do.
A full circle moment, though. Just like with Voivod, my favorite song on that album is a cover, and it's a cover by Black Sabbath, which we were discussing as a potential candidate. So I think I could see it growing on me. I wasn't ready for the vocals. I think that's the one thing. Like, and I know I love like Periphery, and that dude has super high pitched, quote unquote, whiny vocals that a lot of people don't like. But yeah, maybe if I revisited it, I would like it a little bit. I didn't, hate it.
If you're willing to try a little bit more, Faith No More, try Angel Dust, because that's a little bit more of a cohesive album. As much as I love The Real Thing, it has some highs and lows.
And Angel Dust is up next. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's more consistent front to back.
I'd be willing to give them another try for sure.
Yeah, cool.
And then I did also listen to Pelican. This one I've only listened to a couple times. I listened to Australasia. I think that's how you pronounce it.
Yes, I love that album.
It's pretty cool. I dig them. They're very. This is like a metalhead's pick. So good on you for this one.
Yeah, it's definitely if you like guitars and if you like heavy, like wall of sound type of guitar rock with no vocals, it's all instrumental, then Pelican is a good way to go.
Post metal is one of the genres of metal that like I need to do some more work on. I've listened to some bands, like I've listened to Cult of Luna, but I know Isis is a really popular one. I know Neurosis is a really popular one. This kind of like instrumental metal that's like almost like background music, even though it's like really loud and abrasive.
Yeah, I don't know any of the ones you just mentioned, so if you check them out and they're good, let me know.
I will. That's all I had. Any last notes? Do you want to get started?
No, I think we should roll into it. Speaking of heavy metal music, wall of sound, guitar music, our first album is Judy Garland live at Carnegie Hall.
Dang, I wish there was video of this.
I'll go ahead and show off my vinyl.
That's pretty glorious. Yeah, I didn't get to see that last time.
Yeah, this is
and the album cover is really nice. It's very iconic.
Yeah, I really like this like poster pop poster art kind of thing. This is a quadruple album, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, really?
I'm not gonna open it because
that makes sense. It's like 2 hours.
It's kind of falling apart, and it's in this plastic thing. It looks like it's in nice condition, but it's just because it's in this nice sleeve. It's actually pretty ratty.
Wow.
But I believe it's 4 records, if I remember correctly.
If this is like a regular vinyl and it's like a 2 hour, it can't just be 2.
Yep. So I chose this because I watched a YouTube video by the YouTube channel Be Kind Rewind. It's Judy Garland at Carnegie Hall, the greatest night in entertainment history. And I'm a fan of that YouTube channel, and that title definitely piqued my interest. And it's a hour-long video, and I watched it several times when it first came out. And I said, I have got to hear this album. So I think I listened to a little bit of it on Spotify. Then I got the vinyl album, and I decided that we could cover it in this show because I think it's an interesting piece of music history, and it's an interesting point in Judy Garland's career. And I am not an expert on Judy Garland, but I think, as someone like my grandmother was a huge fan of her. Everybody has seen The Wizard of Oz, so most people know who Judy Garland is. So to watch that YouTube video and get a little bit of a history and the context of what was going on when this was made it quite interesting to me, and I ended up choosing this. And I'll just say I enjoy it before I go too deep here. But what were your initial thoughts at this pick, or your first listen, or what are some opening thoughts for you on this one?
Yeah, so when you recommended this to me, I truthfully did not recognize the name Judy Garland, but I have seen Wizard of Oz, and when I looked it up, I knew who she was. So I didn't have that much of a historical context. I'm also not as much of a movie snob as you, which we'll get into. But and in terms of the content of the album, it is 2 hours, so it's pretty long. It's basically like they include everything. So it's the whole performance. It's her like in between the songs, giving some like almost like stand-up comedy, like she's telling funny stories about traveling and performing. There's also some moments where she's like getting set up with the band. So it's a pretty long album. You know, she tells you to go to intermission. And the songs themselves are like vocal jazz. They're like jazz standards, show tunes, kind of like ballroom band songs. So on first listen, I wasn't first listen, and when we originally recorded this, I wasn't as into those genres. I did like the album, but it runs pretty long, so I kind of like lost interest part of the way through. I have some stuff to say about like the historical context, but just for the music for now, I wasn't that crazy about it. But since then, and I did re-listen to this album, you know, just once in preparation for this re-recording. I actually liked it a little bit more. I have since our recording listened to like Billie Holiday, who is a vocal jazz artist, who she's like the first artist of this genre that I actually really, really like. So awesome. That helped me redefine, I guess, or recontextualize it. And yeah, I don't know why. I just like the album a little bit more. Maybe just because I was already familiar. I wasn't like, you know, I didn't feel like I was waiting 2 hours for like to finish listening to an album. I just had it on in the background, and it kind of felt like listening to the radio. Like I think I appreciate her personality a little bit more too. It's still, you know, definitely like a patience testing listen that I don't like love, but I liked it. You know, I liked it a little bit more.
That's cool. I will say one of the benefits of having the vinyl record that is 4 separate albums is you don't have to listen to the whole thing. You can just pull one out and throw it on, and you'll be in the middle of something that's she's going on with, whether it's a funny story or, you know, a couple of songs or whatever.
One thing is, sorry, I actually did, you know, technically you're not supposed to listen to this whole thing, because even the people that were there didn't listen to the whole thing in one sitting. There was an intermission. So I actually did, right. Like, I went on like a quick bodega run in between the two halves.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, that's awesome. I can't remember. I think I only listened to it front to back like one time when we were preparing for the first recording. And the benefit you get from that is just going through all the reprisals of Somewhere Over the Rainbow and certain themes that keep popping up, and a little bit of a consistency to the stories that she's telling. But I don't know. I don't think it's required to sit through the whole thing. You could definitely, you know, even if I think the CD version of this, I believe, is 2 discs. So you could probably even just listen to the first one and take a break and then go and listen to the second one. But that's not really important. Like, I think it's a very good live recording. And you said you were going to get into a little bit of the history and context of this. Yeah. Because you might remember it better than I do, it sounds like.
Well, I just think that it's interesting more so than for like sitting down to listen to this for musical pleasure. I wouldn't honestly really recommend that unless you're super into this genre or you're like a Judy Garland diehard or something. I think more so this is really interesting from like a music nerd, music history standpoint, because the album was released in 1961. So at this point, it's like 64 years old, which is pretty old. There's not even that much. There is a decent amount, but like we're getting towards the beginning of popular recorded music at that point. So it is a pretty old recording. It's just interesting to listen to like a live album from like that long ago too. Like, because when you think about like history in the 60s, you know, there's like some big ones that stand out. There's like counterculture, there's like the civil rights movement, there's the Cold War. But like, what were everyday people just like up to, you know? Like, what were they doing? They were just going out on, you know, like their weekend night or whatever, and they were listening to Judy Garland at Carnegie Hall. Like, that's pretty cool, right? Like, I guess I don't know if it's everyday people. I don't know how much it costs to go to the show, but, you know, for that alone, I think it's like an interesting music nerd listen.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. And again, because this reminds me of my grandmother in a certain way, you bring up a good point, and is that my grandmother was not a culture warrior. She wasn't a civil rights activist. You know what I mean? Like, she wasn't a hippie. She wasn't any of these things. But she would have been the kind of person who would enjoy this and listen to something like this on the radio. And if you want to say this was more mainstream or more normie kind of culture, I'm fine with that. But also, again, this was not Judy Garland in the heyday of her career, right? It was a little bit kind of later on, and it still is known as one of her best performances, even though, man, it's a shame there's no video of it, because you can tell she's moving around. You can tell she's, even though she's a consummate performer, there's some parts where you can tell she's a little bit out of breath. Like, she must have been running around that stage, and I wish there was some video of it. But yeah, it's definitely one of the things you can get out of it, is knowing that she left it all on the field for this performance. And we should note, according to the Be Kind Rewind video, this actually, I don't know, that's not true. This is part of what I was about to say is not true. This is a tour that she was on, but I think the Carnegie Hall album was recorded over a couple different nights, if I'm not mistaken.
Really? I think it was recorded on one night. It's recorded on the night that is on the album cover, right? April 23rd.
It was definitely one night. Yeah, it says Sunday, April 23rd. Okay, so I misspoke. But
that's what it said on Wikipedia.
I believe she did do multiple shows. Maybe they recorded them all and only put one out. I'm definitely misremembering some kind of detail there. But yeah, just an amazing piece of history. It didn't turn me into any kind of Judy Garland fan in particular, besides just having immense respect for somebody who was in showbiz back in the day. I did pick up a VHS copy of A Star Is Born, but I have not watched it yet. So
is that based on Judy Garland?
No, it's just a movie that she was in.
Oh, okay. I was thinking of the Lady Gaga movie. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's just a remake of this movie that I'm talking about.
Okay, that's interesting.
There's several different versions of it over the years. So, to this day, the only Judy Garland movie I've seen is The Wizard of Oz.
So that was one of the things I was going to ask you. Like, now that you have been on quite a movie binge, if you had seen more movies with her, but you just answered that.
Yeah, I still haven't. It's funny, off topic, but there's, where we live, there's an Ava Gardner museum in the town next to us. It would be like a 15-minute drive to get to it. And I have yet to see an Ava Gardner movie, and I love movies from the 40s and 50s. So it's just kind of strange that I have that blind spot, and I keep saying I want to see at least one Ava Gardner movie before we go to that museum, but I really want to go to the museum. So
well, at the rate that you're going, surely you're going to be able to cover your blind spots eventually.
Yeah, absolutely. For those who don't know, I watch movies all the time, and my YouTube channel is right now very much dedicated to movies and film. So check it out. I
definitely recommend checking that out. Sean's YouTube channel, that is.
Yeah, thank you.
To touch on the BKR video, it provides a lot of historical context for Judy Garland and the performance. You mentioned that it was not at the peak of her career, which is true. It was kind of like a comeback story almost. She she was much younger when she was in Wizard of Oz, and she's 39 at the time of this performance. So yeah, a bit of a a revival of her career. But yeah, in terms of video and visual, there are videos of her performing some of the songs in other settings, so you could kind of like stitch together a fake visual performance of the album, with other videos. Yeah, I really think her personality shines, telling stories about how she has like one story where like she's in London and there's like a reporter complimenting how she looks, but then the story comes out the next day that she's like, oh, she's Judy Garland's fat, but she's like happier than I've ever seen her. So it's like she I think this was in a different time too, where maybe like pop culture, especially for like women, was more toxic. So she really had to like be, you know, like a very by the numbers, perfect, you know, presentable model, and she wasn't always that, but she like took that in stride.
Right.
So yeah, you know,
she took that insulting story and turned it around into a very funny story on stage using some slightly self-deprecating humor, but making it into a positive and funny thing.
Yeah.
That was one of my favorite stories on that album as well. So yeah, and it definitely just makes her more endearing and likable. So
that's kind of all I have to say. I think. Do you have anything else you wanted to add?
No, I think that's it. I think the first time we recorded this, I said how much I liked this, but it's a weird album to try to recommend to people just because of the nature of what it is. It's not really like, oh, you got to check out this album the way you would say with like,
Koy no
I don't
Yokon.
know, Deftones, Koy no Yokon. It's more like, check out this really cool like piece of entertainment and piece of Hollywood history, you know?
Yeah. I would definitely frame it like
saying.
that. But framing it like that, it is a pretty strong recommendation for me, I would say.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. Well, I'll pass it off to you then. Kick it off with album number 2, LP number 2. This was your choice.
Yes. So my choice is a bit of a loophole for live albums. The choice is Pink Floyd Live at Pompeii, which was released not that much like a decade in 1972, but still 50 years old at this point. It is a movie and an album. It's actually a little bit hard to find online, like streaming. You'd probably have to get a copy if you wanted to like watch it reliably. It's an hour long. To get into the history, since both of these, we're doing a little bit of history lesson today. It is them performing at Pompeii, which is a Roman city, but now in Italy, that was buried under volcanic ash after the eruption of Mount Vesuvius in 79 AD. Now exists as a heritage site. So they performed there at the amphitheater, but there's no audience. So it is live technically, but the video, the movie itself is them performing. It's them like walking around the region. It's like interspersed with like random shots of Roman art and like bubbling volcanic mud. And it's them performing songs from previously released albums. So I know you're a big Pink Floyd fan, and I am as well. That's kind of why I picked the album, because I knew we both liked the band, and I think I knew that, or maybe I confirmed that we had never listened to this yet. So I just wanted to, Pink Floyd is a band that's definitely worth uncovering every stone.
Yeah.
And this was released before their quote unquote like legendary run, like right before Dark Side of the Moon. So they did not. On the original cut of the movie, they didn't perform songs from it, but there are later versions where like they play some of the songs in the studio and those are like mixed in. But otherwise, the songs are from Metal and Saucerful of Secrets, and there's also the single Careful with That Axe Eugene. So it's a bit of their older material. So with all that said, what did you think about this project?
Man, as a Pink Floyd fan, I would call them my favorite band, just for a shorthand answer without getting too analytical or thinking too hard about it or trying to come up with some hipster deep pick of who my favorite band is. I will usually just say Pink Floyd because they're the only band that I've been listening to since I was a young child and have never stopped listening to. Like, there's a lot of bands that I listen to from my dad's records that I either don't listen to a lot or fell off of when I was younger. But Pink Floyd, I've always listened to. I've never fallen off with them, never not listened to them. However, I am a mainstream Pink Floyd fan in the sense that I think they peaked when they peaked. Dark Side, Wish You Were Here, and Animals are my 3 favorites. So I'm familiar with the older stuff. I'm familiar with the stuff that came after. but if I'm going to queue up a Pink Floyd album, it's going to be one of those three 9 times out of 10. So when you chose this and I saw the track listing was all pre-Dark Side of the Moon, I was a little bit trepidatious about it because I'm not crazy about the older stuff, the more psychedelic stuff. However, when I watched it, I absolutely loved it. And I think one of the strongest things about this, besides the song with the dog, is the the performance of Echoes.
Oh yeah.
Which is towards that's the last track on the...
It's the first and the last. They cut the song in 2 parts.
There you go. Okay. Because that song is really kind of the stepping stone into the sound that would become the Dark Side of the Moon sound. So there's a little bit of a familiarity with those kind of melody ideas that they were working with at the time. And I ended up liking this way more than I expected to. I think sonically, like I was just watching the version on YouTube. I don't know what kind of audio technical specifications I was getting, but it sounded fucking good to me on my TV coming through YouTube. So I listened to it a couple times at really high volumes and I enjoyed it every time. So that
nice.
Surprised me. I don't think it's going to make me go back and, you know, I like those albums. I like metal. I like Atom Heart Mother, but I just don't like them as much as the other stuff. So
interesting.
Yeah.
I think I have a more holistic appreciation for the band's entire discog. So for those unaware, well, you should definitely listen to Pink Floyd. Like for, you know, talking about
haven't heard them.
Music nerd research,
cool
like you
band.
gotta listen to like, you know, Pink Floyd. But there is this legendary quote unquote run from Dark Side. You didn't, a bit of a tangent. You didn't mention The Wall. Is that not falling into your umbrella? Under your umbrella?
Dude, I like the Wall a lot, but over the years the Wall has kind of sunk a little bit lower in my opinion. I don't think it's as good as I used to think it was.
Okay.
For what it's worth.
But regardless, I believe it goes Dark Side, Wish You Were Here, Animals, and The Wall. Those 4 albums are, you know, where they peaked, quote unquote, some of the best-selling albums of all time. Before that, though, and those are like prog rock albums. Before that, Pink Floyd was more of a psychedelic rock band with prog rock, I guess, tendencies. And Echoes, the song that's on this album and film, is from the album Metal, and it's a 25-minute song, and it's freaking awesome. So if you have 25 minutes, you should definitely listen to it, but it is quite a journey. So it's a bit of an inflection point in their career when they released this, because they were headed in more of a progressive rock direction. But I do like their older stuff. I think Saucer Full of Secrets is pretty good. I think I like it more than some of their, like, I like it probably more than Atom Heart Mother. I haven't listened to a lot of these albums in full in a while, but probably should. But yeah, this album actually gave me a bit of an appreciation for the older stuff, or like a renewed appreciation. It was cool seeing them play live. Like, definitely one thing I took away is that Nick Mason, the drummer, is like pretty beastly. Like, I've never really thought of Pink Floyd having like an awesome drummer, but like seeing him, you know, do his thing live is pretty awesome. And there's like a moment where he's like drumming and he loses one of his drumsticks, but he just pulls out another one and recovers. That was pretty cool. I like the visuals too. Like, it is mostly just them performing, like, you know, with shots of Pompeii and shots of like them walking around and stuff. But there's like kind of like amateurish effects, like they'll like fade in and out, or they'll like do like a mosaic where it's like the same image over and over again filling the screen, or like it's like,
well,
yeah.
Can I pause you right there? I wouldn't say amateurish. I would just say dated, like technologically.
Yeah, sorry, that was the wrong word.
Back then they didn't have computers to do all that shit. They were doing like actual editing techniques.
Yeah, what like I would love to
them.
look into what that actually entails. They probably had to like, my, you know, outsider guess is they probably had to like cut up tape or something and like stitch it together and stuff. Or like, now you just click one button and that's like, it's super easy. But back then it was way more work.
Exactly. So yeah, I would definitely
But I
put a
find it
little bit
charming.
more respect on those visual effects. Yeah, charming is a good word for it. And I can't think of a better way to put it, because they wanted to make it look like a little bit more flashy without it being, what we would think of as some kind of crazy, like, attention grabbing,
Yeah, it's not like garish.
mind rot TikTok shit. You know what I mean? Just a few swipes here, or a few, where they do the multiple frames kind of thing. I like that stuff.
Yeah, I thought it was, I just thought it was, they were just having fun, like they were playing for nobody. With some more background, the idea for the overall project was the director, Adrian Mabins. His original idea was just like put their music over images of the paintings, which does, or like other own art, which does show up in the movie. But then he visited the amphitheater at Pompeii and thought it'd be better to perform there, and the band insisted on bringing all of their live gear as if they were touring to like play some real songs live. And like a lot of the movie, they're just like under the beating hot sun, shirts off, playing rock music, like it's just kind of like a grand old time.
David Gilmour is such a babe in this movie.
I mentioned this last time. I'd never, like, I know all their names, but I never had looked up, and I have like seen photos of them, but I didn't know who was who until I saw this, and I was like, oh, the guy on the piano, that's Rick Wright. Oh, the guy on bass is Roger Waters. Like,
yeah, there you go. Yeah, I think they're definitely looking good in this flick. And yeah, I wish, do you know is there a Blu-ray release of this? I would love to own it physically.
So when we last recorded, I sent you like a link to the YouTube video, which I think got taken down. So I spent like a solid 15 minutes yesterday trying to like find another place to like watch this, and then I only ended up watching like a little bit anyways. I think they have a page on their website where you can buy vinyls, buy CD, merch, posters. I don't know if like the band themselves even sells.
One of my
they do sell a Blu-ray
on Instagram. Yeah. I should get it. Well, somebody I follow on Instagram actually saw this in a theater very recently, like last week.
Oh wow!
So I think
I think I noticed that as well.
Run.
When I was looking up how to watch it, it was like, hey, go see it at a theater. I'm like, wow, that's
yeah. That would be awesome. I wish I could. I didn't see it locally around me, but that would be awesome. I don't think I've ever seen a concert movie in a movie theater. Isn't that weird? Have you?
Not really. I think the closest thing that comes to mind was I saw Bohemian Rhapsody, which has certain moments where it feels like a concert, like I guess not really a spoiler. It's based on real life. Like the ending is what's the thing where I forget what the concert is called.
Oh, Live Aid.
Yeah, where like at that concert he's like, hey, and everyone does the same thing.
Yeah.
So there's like a solid like 10 I think minutes, maybe longer, of them just playing songs, and it's just kind of like a concert. But no, not a true concert. I didn't go to the Taylor Swift movie or whatever. I don't know what other live concerts they've rolled out in theaters.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I'm pretty sure I've never seen anything like that. I'd have to really dig deep and think about it, but I'm pretty sure not. But I would love to see this one in a theater.
This would be fun. I honestly don't know if I have that much more to say about this either. I think it helps that it has a visual as opposed to Judy Garland, obviously, which does not.
Yeah.
And for me, since I even enjoyed listening to this without like watching it, as if I was just listening to an album. I just like the songs, enough to say that. Yeah. Did you have that much more to add?
No, did you end up catching that Beastie Boys video this time around?
So I did watch it this time around. It's
nice.
funny because it's very obvious homage like to. I mean, I don't know if they even like use exact because like in the movie they are in the amphitheater and they have all their gear, and there's like moments where they have like a little dolly, which is like imagine like a railroad track but for like a camera. So they They like
Yeah.
push it around slowly, and they get like a 360 view of the band, which is great. But they see behind the amps, and it's like labeled Pink Floyd London or something. And then the Beastie Boys music video, it's like they have amps that say that. And I'm like, did they like just take the footage from the movie, or like did they actually label their amps that?
I don't even know, but I love that video, and I think it's hilarious because I have a Beastie Boys video anthology DVD, and it has commentaries from the directors of the video and from the Beastie Boys themselves. And I thought, oh wow, I'm going to watch this and I'm going to get some kind of nuggets of like why they did this and how much they love Pink Floyd and all this other stuff. But the commentary tracks are so hilariously useless. It's just the three of them and whoever else is with them in a room smoking weed, just shooting the shit and being stupid. And they were like, oh, remember this one? Yeah, we did like that Pink Floyd thing. Oh, there's me playing the bass. And it's just like, it's hilarious, but it's so useless for the purposes of like finding out why they did it or anything like that. But I love the song, and I love the Beastie Boys almost as much as I love Pink Floyd. So I love when those kind of things come together, and I'm glad you got a chance to check it out this time.
Yes. So the music video, which I don't think we mentioned, is "Gratitude," by Beastie Boys. I need to finish getting through their discog because I listened to a couple of their albums, but they have like a solid like 7 or 8. So I would like to clean that up. I think I got one of your CDs. It's like hung up behind the shirt, so you're not going to see it. But
that's
for
awesome.
what's the album with "Fight for Your Right"?
Oh, License to Ill.
Yeah. I don't know where I got that from because I must have got it from you when you gave out your collection. Because when I was getting into Beastie Boys recently, I listened to that album and I really, really liked it. And I was looking through my collection one day and I was like, why do I have this? Like, this is great. I didn't know I had this. Like, where did I get this from?
Gratitude is on an album called Check Your Head, which is a fantastic album.
I think I've heard
it
that
has the song So What You Want, which was a big hit. I would also recommend Paul's Boutique, which is an incredible album. It's a masterpiece. It's very sample heavy. It's almost like a mashup album with rapping over it. But yeah, I think if you keep going with the Discog review of Beastie Boys, you'll find a lot more to enjoy.
Nice. I will keep you posted. But yeah, cool. As far as these live albums go, any last words you want to add?
No, I think first of all I need to get Pompeii on Blu-ray. I probably want to get Judy Garland on CD, so it's a little bit easier to listen to. But also, I wish I had more live albums to recommend. It's just not something I'm super into. I wish I could think of more to talk about. But I'm more into collecting concert movies and things like 1991, the year punk broke, which is a Sonic Youth like tour video that has Nirvana and Dinosaur Jr. and some other bands.
That
cool. Was a favorite of mine when I was younger, but that's a movie, not a album, so kind of different. So yeah, I wish I was more into it, but I don't think I'm going to change over. I'm not going to change post this episode, so status quo.
I think live albums, they're usually for the hardcore fans. It's not that often that an artist's most notable work would be a live album. I guess that is like the case. Like I know a lot of if you're gonna listen to who's the guy Johnny Cash like live at Folsom Prison, like that's probably like a one that that's
a good one, a very famous live album. I had another one that just popped in my head. Not to cut you off, but I don't want to forget it. The band Paramore, they have one called The Final Riot Live, which technically is a live album, but I actually have the Blu-ray of the concert movie. It's an album and
I've never heard of this
video. And that's a interesting one because it's Paramore right before they made their self-titled album, which is my favorite Paramore album. And I believe it's the last tour they were on with most of their original members. So it's a certain point in the band's history that's very interesting.
Interesting. Paramore is a pretty dope band, and they've, Haley Williams is stuck through a lot of band member changes, but I don't think they've really had a low point in their career, honestly. So props to them. They're still kicking.
Yeah, I think most of their stuff is at least very good, right?
Yeah.
They don't have anything that's like you wouldn't want to listen to it. So,
I guess one last thing I'll add is that you listening or watching should go to concerts and see things live, because that's awesome. I think that is one thing that can happen with listening to a live, like especially at a live 2007. I hear people, and as the years go by and Daft Punk is broken up and it's further and further an impossibility to like see them perform live. Like people are like listening to this album and they're like, oh wow, like it's so much better to listen to this alone in my room with the lights off, like not talking to anyone, than actually like being there seeing it live. Like I think there's a bit of a, not like FOMO, but like it's just cooler to be at a live show, like especially if it's an artist that's a little bit more underground or indie, I guess. Like, when you're going to like a smaller venue like that, people there are like, you're just surrounded by people that actually love the band. Like that's awesome, so.
Yeah, I agree. I haven't been to a show in a while, and I definitely need to think about that as the summer season is coming up, and definitely got to get out and see more live music. So great call. So we already know what our next topic is going to be. We don't usually say the albums, though, do we? I'm curious because you said you picked one. So
yeah. I actually go ahead. Sorry.
So our next episode, we're going to cover concept albums, which is something we've had penciled in since this episode had to get scrapped and re-recorded. So our schedule has been kind of weird. So we've known for a long time that we were going to do concept albums. And I think I picked mine and listened to it like 4 months ago. And now I have to go back. I'm sticking with the one I picked, but I need to definitely listen to it. It's a lot more before we record our next episode. So do you want to say what it is? Because we usually don't, right?
I think we usually don't, because we pick the topic live, so we don't have a chance to even know a good pick. But now that we've known for a while, and I think it's, one, I think it'd be kind of like a fun teaser just to like give people something to look forward to. But two, I can't hold it in anymore. I have to tell you what this what my pick is.
I love this. Yeah, please tell me.
So my pick for concept album is going to actually knock out, when I previously suggested a few different topics, I went with some genres that we had underserved. So this is a hip-hop album, and it's Food by MF Doom.
Oh, okay. I was really nervous for a second that you were going to pick the same thing that I picked, which would have been fine. That would have meant one of us would have to pick something else. But that's awesome. That's my favorite Doom album. So.
Oh, really? Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
That might actually provoke me into listening to more of his other stuff again.
He has a lot of stuff.
I feel like I've heard it all over the years, but that's almost impossible with his.
I think it might be impossible unless you're like really trying, because he has like a bunch of different names and like he's collabed with different people.
Yeah. So that's awesome. That's very exciting. Oh, I would love to. That's a good excuse for me to get a physical copy of that one somehow, whether it's vinyl or CD. I'm going to see if I can get that for the show. My pick for a concept album is one that I do have on CD. I bought it when I decided to when we decided to do this topic, and I chose this album. It's called A Grand Don't Come for Free by The Streets.
You've recommended this band to me, but I don't know if I've listened to this album yet.
Yeah, so it's actually kind of a rap album, but it's more like spoken word. It's a very odd cadence of rapping, if you can even call it that. And the reason I found out about this is because I saw a TikTok with a young Daniel Brown, who's one of our favorite rappers, and he was talking about
Daniel Brown. I didn't know who that was for a second.
It was a Danny Brown TikTok where he was talking about the 5 most influential albums to his style. So he was talking about like Cypress Hill and Korn and stuff that he's talked about before. But then he said his number one pick that influenced him was A Grand Don't Come for Free by The Streets. And I was like, holy shit, I have to hear this. What is this? And it's pretty amazing. I think you're going to enjoy it, and I can't wait to talk about it.
Wow, this is interesting. I actually have listened to this because I think you recommended it before, but truth be told, I did not know I didn't do my research properly. I did not know it was a concept album.
Awesome. Cool. What's really disheartening is that the lyrics are not in the CD. Like, I bought the CD hoping the lyrics would be in there, and I may have to look harder, but I don't remember being able to find the lyrics because
might just have to pull up Genius when you're listening.
Yeah, it tells a whole story, but it goes very kind of quickly, and it's very dense. So I would really like to dig in deeper on the lyrics when I re-listen to it and study it for the next recording.
Wow, so we are 2 hip hop albums. Yeah, this is, I guess, if you had to pick one album, a genre, it would be hip hop, but it's not quite hip hop.
Yeah. And it'll be cool to talk about concept albums and some honorable mentions, because that is something like, hey, Voivod Dimension Hatros was a concept album, right?
Concept albums are like, what even is I guess maybe we'll save it, but like, what even counts as a concept album? Like, is a breakup album a concept album?
Good point. Like, is Lemonade by Beyonce
that's definitely
concept album?
100%.
Just because it has one central theme? Like, does one central theme make something a concept album?
I guess it's the intention of the artist.
Like, I wrote this whole album about my dog that died. Does that make it a concept album?
I think so, yeah.
You know what I mean? Okay. Like, I'm with you. Like, when we talk about A Grand Don't Come for Free, like, the story's very simple.
It doesn't just have to be a story, I think.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's save it for the next recording. I love this, though. Okay, cool. Well, thank you for listening to Two LPs in a Pod. I'm Shawn, and this is my co-host, Andre. We appreciate you hanging out with us. Leave a comment, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.
Thanks for watching and listening. Peace.